congratulations for Modern Persuasion.
Thank you so much.
So it must be proud that you finally, got this done, especially out for this year.
Yes, this year was a challenge for getting things out into the world, but we managed to do it. It was we got very lucky. Alex, do you want to speak to your process on that?
Well, I think we were lucky that, we got through all post and everything before the world changed. I think where it really affected us was festivals and doing a casting crew screening, all those sort of usual, things getting an indie out in the world didn't happen, but we're really thrilled that, that Goldwyn liked our film and, they picked us up, and it's finding its way out there, just not quite the usual path, I guess.
Absolutely. So here's the easy question. Where the original idea came from? Because from what I understand, it came from the Jane Austen novel.
Yes. Yeah. That's a book I've always loved. And I just had some very clear ideas on how it could be modernized, and no one's attempted it. And I kind of wanted the challenge. And I just, at the core, it's such a great romance story. Oh, kitty cat. Sorry, I'm a cat person too. Funny. And I really like that it was the story itself. In the novel, she sort of considered getting past her prime in her early 20s, but to modernize that, I knew the lead would be, in late 30s, early 40s, and I really liked the idea of having a romantic comedy around a woman, that's older and not as sometimes overlooked in Hollywood for this kind of stuff.
So tell us, Jonathan, how did you adapt the script for this?
Alex and her first writer, Barbara Radecki, already had a script before I came on board. I came on board probably a few years into their process, and then they being lovely Canadian people that they are, they realized if they wanted to set a film in New York, they probably needed to have someone who spoke sort of more in that linguistic style. So I came on board, and then we worked on the script for 2 to 3 years, I would say. I had never actually done an adaptation, maybe some lighter stuff, but not like something so true to this, where you really have to take something that's set in such a different time and change so much about it, but also keep so much to make it a true adaptation, but work in modern times. I found it to be like this amazing sort of like puzzle. It was like a chess game or something to find ways to glorify the original text and honor it, but also change it enough that it would work for us. It was a lot of work, but it was really like fascinating. And I was saying earlier, like the original draft of the script was something like 140 pages or something, because I kept every single piece of the novel as much as possible, even like the tiniest side character, just to make sure we had that version of it before we then pared down and made it tighter. Which we definitely made it tighter. That would have been a 3-hour movie. But I loved sort of figuring out all these tiny little adjustments to make to have it work. It was really fun.
Now, when you were basically adapting it from the book, one of the biggest changes is the fact that it wasn't from the book. It was originally a young person falling in love. Why did you want to put it as much more of a middle-aged woman?
Well, no, that's not quite in the book. So they are young when they meet. They are practically the same age, and then he's not wealthy enough for her family, and her family. The book has a lot of themes about like class snobbery and difference, and she honestly is using that family in the book to sort of make fun of the times in a way. But they do meet when they're young, and then he goes off to the war in the book and comes back, and they're only in their late 20s. They're washed up in their late 20s. Well, he's not washed up because
he's not. The woman is washed up.
He becomes rich via the war and winning, and when he gets back, he's like this eligible bachelor, but she at 27, 28 is suddenly washed up, and he's flirting with her. In the book, it's her 2 younger nieces. But we come to learn, of course, as we learn in our story, he is really doing that to sort of see if she's still interested, make her jealous, whatever the things that men do. Yeah, it was. It doesn't translate as well to modern times if you don't embrace the fact that your characters need to be of a certain age to have that kind of lived-in feeling of like, what is the feeling of like, I might not get another chance if I don't take this one, even though this is someone who maybe hurt me in the past or someone I have. It is my first love. Do I get a second chance at my first love? To make those questions and the larger themes of the book work, I think it really is best to set it how we set it, with their ages having been what they are, I believe.
Now, obviously, this tale has been modernized, and you basically input a lot of generation and millennial type of cultural things. Talk about putting that into the story and a little bit of those cultural humor into the film.
Well, I think in the book as well, the younger female characters are quite a bit chirpy, and it really is to serve as a difference between the leads of the book, who are serious people, and to see the challenges of the difference between being with someone who maybe is on the same page as you or someone very different. In the original draft of the script, they were already young social media people, so I just really heavily embraced the young social media people I know, and I work with a lot of PR people, and a lot of them are very young, and the way they speak sometimes is it's like another language, and I just really wanted to honor that. So I threw in every phrase of the moment under the sun at that time. It was sort of a combination of like what someone said on RuPaul's Drag Race last week mixed with like what my 18-year-old our best friends, they have 2 younger children who speak in this way as well. So it was sort of like I did a listening tour of what people were saying at the time, and I just wanted to honor that and also make it fun. I think embracing heightened language is so specific to Austen that you can have heightened language in that way, but you can also have heightened language in like millennials speak. So I think you sort of want to have people who are very specific with their words, especially when you're portraying the world of PR too. Like people really do speak in a way that is on brand.
Both of you have co-directors credit for this film. How did you want to basically approach this, adapting a modern day Jane Austen?
I think with Johnny and I, we worked so well together, on the script when he was doing the redrafting of it and everything. And I think by the time we got to the end, we did go out originally to some, the idea was to go out to some directors and stuff. And there just got to be a point where I felt like the timing was right that this be made. And I think Johnny and I had such specific ideas and we're so in love with it. And it would have almost been hard to let someone else sort of, take over with that. And the other part was, it's super ambitious to do these huge party scenes and everything on such a small budget, but that's such a big part of Jane Austen that I, didn't want to pare that down. And just the both of us, because we had such, the same idea and feeling for how this film's going to look and feel and sound and everything, it was sort of easy on those tough days to sort of divide and rule, like, okay, you go deal with that, I'll go deal with that, and just be able to make our days. Johnny, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think we had worked together on the script for multiple years, as I said, and by then we sort of knew what story we wanted to tell, and when it came time to decide you know, who was going to direct it. We had a conversation and decided that we would do it together, and it worked out.
One of the things that was brought up earlier is, you know, Alex is in Toronto. Why is this story setting in New York?
Well, I wanted it in New York. You know, I don't know. New York has always been a city that I've just loved and found romantic. And, you know, with dealing with something like Modern Persuasion, I was thinking more in the PR and the modern art of persuading and stuff. And yeah, Barbara and I was just like, I'd love to set it in New York. How do you feel about that, Barbara? She goes, I'll give it a try. And, you know, as Johnny mentioned, there was a point when I was shopping around and people were like, wow, it's so polite. And I was like, that doesn't seem like, it seems Jane Austen, but it doesn't seem New York. And yeah, no, it was just, I think sometimes when you have a story idea, like sometimes you immediately just know where it feels like it should be set. And there was something about New York that I just always felt like fit.
And you also wanted to make a film in the States because you had made films in Canada, and you wanted to.
I was aiming to make an American film, for sure, but picking New York over California or something like that, it was just, it felt like the right city, but
it works best for the story, I think.
Yeah, because it's faster paced, you know. Like I think there's some cities that are, like might feel like a little different, and also familiarity. I mean, I'm sure there are other cities that I'm, you know, like Chicago or something. It's just that I have no knowledge of. I was there once for a film festival. That's it. So
Let's talk about your lead, Alicia Witt. Why is she perfect for her role?
Well, I will just say when we were in the casting process, we talked to, you know, not a lot of people, a very limited amount of people about it. And Alicia is brilliant. She's not just a brilliant actor, she's a brilliant person. She's very, very intelligent. And she knew the book, and she already knew the story, and she already had great ideas. And she's just, I mean, I think she's wonderful. She's so smart, she's so hardworking. And we knew we needed someone who was gonna be fully on board, who was going to be in it for the good of the project. And she really was like, she wasn't just like the lead of the film, she was like a team member. She really, really made this film happen, especially on the days when it was tough to get stuff done. She is perfect because she is. I mean, that's what it is. But she also, you know, I've loved her forever. I mean, she has been in so many things over the years, and she just has this incredible screen presence, and she is always someone I want to see more of, you know? And I just possibly, like, while we were working on it, I had just watched, you know, she's in the Twin Peaks revival a little, playing a very different character, of course. She's like a junkie. But she was, like, fresh on my mind again. And I'm glad that she came to us via casting. We had a great casting director who really gave us some great ideas. And I'm glad it worked out, because she really made the film, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that part, you know, with Austen, it's like the heroine is always, it tends to be a very silent performance more than just what the words are being said. So she's one of those actresses that really can capture those moments just in her eyes and those feelings, but then also she can be very funny, you know? So it's the balance of both that was really lovely. And as Johnny said, she's very eloquent the way she talks, which, you know, also was sort of perfect, very, very smart and well-spoken and thoughtful. You know, she just had a lot of those qualities that made her a perfect Wren.
She was actually very adorable and funny through your film. So that was terrific.
It was nice to see her get like a sort of large part where she could use all these talents she has, you know. I hope it leads to more, because I find her a fascinating person to watch. And we had to watch a lot because we edited the movie for like a year. And she really never lets you down. I would say in almost every take, like she is a consummate professional and an amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And not to mention, I do have to adore your supporting cast because you have a lot of recognizable faces. People could watch this film and say, wait a minute, I've seen those people from somewhere before. So congratulations with that.
Yeah, thank you. We got very lucky. We had a lot of fun people. No one in that cast is a lightweight. Everyone is really really great at what they do and really showed up for us. It's very fun to work with all the people we work with.
Excellent. Alex, for yourself, I understand this is technically your feature film directorial debut, and I think for Jonathan, is this your second film?
Yeah, I made my first feature, Gaby. I made earlier in this career lifetime.
hence the poster behind you.
Yeah, it is the only place I have the poster, but it's so weird on Zoom. It looks like I'm like obsessed, but it's my one poster, and you can see they're not naked entirely. I feel like I should hang it like higher or lower. So it's just great. But this is how it works out with this desktop computer.
Absolutely. So, Alex, how was making this your directorial debut? And Jonathan, what did you take from your first film that you brought into this film?
Good question.
Sorry. This is the only problem with these things. Is there a way to shut off calls coming in? Because one came in and sort of I couldn't hear you for 2 seconds while I rejected it.
Oh, do you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. This thing came up and it stopped the sound, so I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I basically was asking, how was your experience making this your feature film directorial debut? And then for Jonathan was, what did he brought, from the first film into the second film?
Yeah. Actually, it was a really great experience because, when I had interest in directing and I directed smaller things before. But I always felt this being my first American film, like don't bite off more than you can chew. And I have to say that I was really happy in the end that, Jonathan and I decided to just step up to the plate and direct it together because I really realized how meticulous I am and annoying with how things look. And I think I probably would have been a really annoying producer to a director if it was that, because with this one, I mean, I was so close to it, and you have such a strong idea of how it's supposed to look. But I don't know, I was really happy with it, and I'm like already ready to go and do another one now.
And what about you, Jonathan?
Well, I started my first feature. We only had $100,000 and we shot in like 16 days. So I definitely learned how to keep things moving, which we needed for this. We had locations that were one day only and you will never get back in here again quite a bit. Or we had things like the beach where we had the beach for like 6 hours or something. And it was like, you're never getting back here. So I think you definitely learn, especially if you're shooting independent film in New York, you learn that you have to keep things moving. You can't be too precious. You might not get a 6 take. You might just have to hope for the best with the first 5. And just to try and keep a sense of humor. I love working with actors. I think it's fun to keep them happy. I learned that on my first film, to try and, just joke around and let them do what they do and feel comfortable doing it. I don't know. There's always new lessons in each film, though. But I am glad I already had the experience of shooting a film in New York with a much smaller budget, because then you also know that New York is always going to surprise you, because suddenly it's going to rain, or suddenly there's going to be a parade walking down the street in the middle of the day when you can't get any sound for 2 hours, so you have to twiddle your thumbs. I mean, I'm glad I knew going in that there would be challenges and that we would just have to face them head on, and I believe we did. But yeah, it was still a very different experience, because this was a much larger cast. We had extra performers. We had way more locations. We had moves. I mean, this was a very different experience in that way.
Excellent. Well, let me wrap it up with one more thing, because we're living in crazy times right now. We're talking via Zoom.
Yeah.
How are you two staying creative and sane during times like this?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Want to take that first, Johnny, or you know?
I mean, you know, it's not easy. Part of the part of writing for me is like hearing other human beings, and I sort of, at this point, you know, I've been around my husband and my 2 cats the most, and they're not really giving me what I need for the next screenplay just yet. But I think that is what I'm missing. The connection with other people in real life is the spark of creativity for me. But I am definitely like trying to do stuff. I've had various tasks that I've been handling and jobs that I've been working on that are creative. But no, it is not as easy right now to maybe push that. But you know, you sort of have to try anyway. You don't really have options.
I think I've had a bit of a different experience, but maybe it's my personality. You know, I think when we finished this, I was so burnt out and I couldn't find a creative spark to save my life. So just being shut down and not being able to do anything, it kind of like worked well with me, just wanting to be alone and isolate for a while. And then, I don't know, I just started to get really inspired again. So I have quite a few things that I've been working on and developing. And, you know, for me, I guess my creative spark is sitting in, you know, with some wine and getting on the phone and all of a sudden the world opens up and you have a script idea again. That sounds like I'm an alcoholic. Okay, it's not, don't mean it that way. But yeah, no, I find it's like, it hasn't really hindered me. I've been able to do like a lot of binge watching, which sometimes that stuff sparks ideas, or documentaries, or you come across certain stories and you're like, oh, that's really interesting. And you go down a Google trajectory, finding out more. I don't know. I just, yeah, no, I also got masterclass. I've been enjoying that. And just hearing these wonderful directors like talk about their process also ends up being very inspiring.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you both are keeping busy. Well, once again, congratulations for Modern Persuasion. I did actually find it very delightful to watch. So congratulations.
Oh, that's great to hear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hey, next time, all right?
Okay.
Yes. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thanks. Bye.